This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro. This is Matt Conrad.
And this is Mike Tobin.
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad, and you're more like somebody who resembles Mike Tobin at this point.
What do you mean?
You're a little lighter in the face.
Oh, yeah. I had a beard accident. So I don't know if you ever try to shave your beard. I was going and getting my beard shaved, right? Like by a
professional.
pro. Yeah. So I'd go see a guy every month and they'd trim the beard up, make it look nice, and I could run with it. And I had my clippers all charged up and I was feeling adventurous and thought I'd do it myself. Long story short, I kind of clipped up the side of my face a bit. I looked ridiculous. Said I couldn't fix it. So I just went full, can I call it a Britney Spears moment?
Yeah, I
Shaved
guess,
it right off.
Shaved her hair
yeah,
right
got
off.
rid of it. Yeah. And now I look like a 12-year-old boy.
I think you should just went with a chin strap or something.
Yeah. And I also know how much weight I put on over the last 10 years. That's the sad part. I was like, man, I used to have a chin. What happened? Yeah.
So we have a third person with us here
yes,
today.
Yes, we do, yeah.
So why don't you introduce him? Because I already know who he is. He's my cousin, so you can introduce him.
Your cousin, my good friend, Tim Antonowicz. Is that what?
Good friend, and you don't know my real name.
And Antonowicz. I was close. I did good.
Tim Antonowicz.
Antonowicz. I have a hard time with names sometimes, and this show will probably, yeah. But anyways, happy to have you here, Tim.
Yeah, honestly, happy to have Tim on. A big part of the reason why we want to have Tim on is this is our wrap-up show.
Yeah, year-end wrap-up.
Yeah, this is season 1 conclusion. And really, honestly, Tim's been following along every episode. He's listened to every episode at least once, sometimes multiple times. Mm-hmm. And he's always really keen to give us great feedback. Every time an episode comes out,
Tim.
Cheers to that,
God,
Tim.
Man.
Yeah,
thanks,
honestly.
Thanks for listening and your feedback.
Yeah.
Matt shares your feedback with me, and we talk about it because we need feedback. We really was our first time ever doing this, so we totally appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And you know what? It's not just like, hey, I like it, or this was not good, or this was whatever. It's not like things like that. It's actual good feedback. Like, you write me books sometimes.
Yeah. And while we're at it, I want to thank my family and my friends, my mom, my dad. They've been super supportive of the show, my brother and sister.
Yeah.
And that extends to a lot of friends that have reached out. And I won't try to go through everybody.
I know, yeah.
In fear of Andrea, of course, my partner, though. She's been super supportive. She's even been on the show now.
Exactly, that's
Right?
true. Yeah, same thing. My wife, obviously, I get to come here and drink beer with my buddy.
Father-in-law Sean, he's been on the show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so been a lot of great moments like that too, and just hearing from family and friends, and it means the world to us. Really does. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I get to my wife. We have a 2-year-old. She's kind of holding down the fort while I'm out here drinking beer with my buddy, talking to interesting people every Tuesday or other days that we may do it. But
that's usually how it goes. Matt's out drinking his face off while his wife is doing all the work, right?
Shameful.
I know, isn't it? No,
shameful.
Anyway, but it's so yeah, and obviously my family's shared it quite a bit. You had a father-in-law on. I had my aunt on. Now a cousin.
It's a family affair.
It's a family affair. Yeah. So so it's been pretty good. I mean, but I think a big part of it is we get lots of feedback from lots of people. We get feedback from our guests and stuff like that. But I wanted to have Tim on here because he had a lot of great things to say. So why not? We made the offer for him to come along and chat with us.
Thanks again, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's my pleasure, man.
So today we're just going to kind of try to run through some of the episodes, and hopefully this won't be too boring for folks if they've listened along. If not, and you don't know that episode, maybe you can go back and check it out.
Yeah.
But first off, we have to thank our friend who trusted us and coffee shop owner, Mark Wilson.
Yeah.
He was
Thanks for being our guinea pig.
Yeah, he was our guinea pig, and couldn't be here because his baby's not feeling well today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little under the weather, but outside of that, honestly, we weren't really sure. People have heard Tobin and I talk a lot about how we kind of came about with this. And really, it was us we had to jump 2 feet in the deep end in order to really kind of get this thing going. And we thought Mark would be a really great guest. He's a good speaker, has a great business, had a good story. So we were like, hey, let's just, for our confidence, test it out with a buddy.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a great episode.
It was a fun episode.
People are still listening to it.
Yeah. He's very popular. So the pilot episode there, Mark Wilson, Tartan Coffee.
Yep.
His coffee's really good too, we should say. That pleasant plug about his coffee.
I think it's the only coffee I drink, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
We have
I
an
don't drink coffee
espresso
very
machine
much.
now, so we're I think you got one too, an espresso machine.
Not an espresso. We have an actual espresso machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the one with the pods, Nespresso.
We
It's all
have one of
fancy.
those.
Yeah.
This is going to sound terrible. We have 3 coffee machines.
That's ridiculous. We have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like beer, but what I am to beer, my wife is to coffee.
Actually, Andrea's a lot like that too. She loves her coffee. So yeah, we got a
That's
couple
good way
toys.
to put it.
Yeah.
It really is a good way to put it because she has Nespresso. She has her big pot of coffee that she has on weekdays when she's running out to work. And then she has her enjoyable thing. So she got her master's. I bought her an espresso machine. And she loves doing the craft of different types of coffee drinks on the weekends and when she can take her time to do it.
Amazing. So thank you to Mark. Tartan Coffee. Check him out. Be back at the Dingle next spring in Halifax if you're around.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't wait. Because even during the winter, he is selling his beans. So if you want tartan for home like we have.
If you want those good beans, go look up Tartan Coffee on Google. Tartan Coffee.
If you want to get your hands on Mark's beans.
Our second episode, I'm going to try to move us along here because we have so many guests.
That's true.
Glenn O'Keefe, Serpent Brewing.
Pour one out for Glenn.
Pour one out for Glenn. Love you, man. Hope you're doing okay.
Yeah.
He was our second guest, the first brewery that allowed us to come in and record, which was awesome.
Open their arms.
Beautiful
Give us everything
space.
they want.
So friendly, so kind. A Newfoundlander, which I love.
Yeah.
And he was awesome, and I hope he's doing well. The brewery closed down, unfortunately. That's a symptom of what's going on out there with a lot of small businesses in the economy, brewers, everyone, right? People are struggling. And just show, if you see Glenn out there or see a Serpent Brewing can, make sure you show him your love and support. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Third guest.
Yeah.
Brendan McGuire.
Still to this day, our highest performing
One of our biggest episodes, yeah. So Brendan was an MLA, or is still an MLA for Halifax Atlantic. He still kept his job after the podcast. But man, his story was raw, emotional.
Very much.
So cool. And so neat to see that side of a politician. Really kind of showed you the third dimension of a human being, eh?
Yeah. No, I think not only was the episode great, but I think the aftermath of the episode was also something that made it equally as great, because we were getting people reaching out to us saying how they've never seen a politician in that light before, or they've never seen even Brendan in that light before, or they never knew his story. And he was getting people reaching out to him and saying, never knew this about you. And I see you totally different. Political opponents completely.
That's what's cool. Political opponents, like people from the other side of the tracks that are just saying, we're starting to see each other as people now and not as,
It's the point of this podcast, man.
100%.
Hashtag beer and love.
100%.
I kind of figured that would happen with the Brendan episode, but I'm kind of surprised that it actually occurred as much as what you're saying, because he always struck me, and he still strikes me as a pretty open and honest guy.
Yeah.
In that aspect, all politics aside, just he seems pretty open and honest just when he's
100%.
dealing with his constituents.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's just the unfortunate part is when you get into colored politics, we'll call it, sometimes when you have a political stripe, then people's made up their mind as soon as they see a color, right? And in this case, it was just listen to the episode, right? And in fact, there was no talking of politics. No talking of, not necessarily no talking of politics, because he talked about how it shaped his life and things like that, but no talking about the topics policies or anything like that.
No down talk to other parties and
Also
stuff like
that
that.
too.
The stuff
That was
I'm
very
kinda,
important.
stuff I'm kind of tired of, right?
Yeah.
And then moving on to another champion, we had Ben Dempsey,
Awesome.
right?
Yeah.
Cool find, Matt. Like, this guy had won a pretty successful CBS show in the States called Tough as Nails. It was a reality show. He came in number one. He's from pretty much
First
my neck
Canadian.
of the woods.
First Canadian.
Yeah, and one heck of a nice guy. Right?
Oh, yeah, the best,
He
yeah.
talked about his struggles, his life, and this coming out on top. It's a good story of, I'd say, redemption in a way, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Huge. It's
hey, man, like you can have a rough go sometimes and come back out on top, and he's a real fighter. I love that episode.
Yeah, it just goes to show you it's never too late to kind of start doing what you love.
Yeah, it always struck me the manner in which you said literal when you introduced him. It's like, now we have a literal champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have put it better. Really,
Yeah.
because he is.
Yeah.
That belt was heavy.
And he'll continue to be a champion, man. Like, he does great work, right?
Exactly.
So,
True.
yeah. Check out for his business. What's his business name, Matt? I forget. I'm sorry.
Breakwater tiling.
Breakwater Tiling, yeah. And they do really beautiful work.
Oh yeah, the stuff all on Instagram that he
Yeah.
has up there and everything. And then, you know what? A little sneak peek, he might be coming back next year.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about. Well, should we talk about that yet? We might be doing the home show next year.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all but signed. We can maybe mention it a little bit, but
Sure.
it's all but signed. It looks like the ideal home show. We Tobin and I were working on some stuff, and we'll leave some of the other things that we're working on, but essentially, Ben is going to be coming back on to talk at the ideal home show. So, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then moving on next, we had a guy I went to school with, AJ Parasram.
Yeah.
And Alex Kasnabish. I hope I say his name right. So they were authors of a book called Frequently Asked White Questions. And they wrote a book basically about questions that white people might be uncomfortable to ask. And
So then they got to ask, frequent questions from a bunch of white guys.
anyways, it was a long one. It's still to date our longest episode at an hour and a half almost.
But
and that
it
was
needed it.
condensed. That was condensed. We actually
was.
took out just most of our talk. We left their talking and we took some of ours out at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But man,
But that's a big topic, and I think it was, you couldn't take anything out without,
it was a 2-pinter.
it was a 2-point.
We typically just 1 pint an episode,
That's
but that was
true.
a 2-pinter.
Yep.
Yeah. But man, awesome guys. I hope actually to have them back. I mean, we'll follow up with them, see if they're working on a book next year, because I'd love to talk to those dudes again. Learned a lot. I learned a lot from their book. I gained tremendous insight from it. I actually was super grateful for it, and I still think about it. So, I mean, if you ever get a chance, their book's a pretty quick read. Yeah. It was really quick for me. I used the, what's it called, Audible?
Yep.
Yeah, Audible thing. So I listened to it, I think within a week, I got through the whole book, and it was fantastic. Oh.
Yeah, I'd like to get into some more of their stuff. I just found that their approach was so balanced, like open-minded, but balanced.
Smart, sweet,
took-
humble,
they
and
took all angles.
just they're really, really smart guys.
Yeah, actually, since we have an actual listener here and everything, like, how would you, put you on the spot, I guess, like, giving it was so much longer than the rest of them. Like, it's really like double, if not almost 3 times longer than some of our other ones.
Yeah.
How do you think, like, that kind of fared? Like, did you feel like it was,
Like the short ones or the long ones?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously
Well,
a great episode, right? But
It all depends on the guest itself and
Fair enough.
and what happens to just incidentally come up in conversation. Like, when you have somebody on who has topics is broad and is like serious as some of their subject matter, that conversation tends to naturally flow that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Cool. Moving on, another guest you brought to the show, Tim Brody.
Oh yeah, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, so Tim was awesome.
I loved it.
I don't know who the heck he was. I was pleasantly surprised.
Realistically, Tim, there's a lot of great moments that we had. There's a lot of great moments that we had in each. I think there's always one thing that I kind of take away from each guest, but up until that point, he had one thing that really stuck, really hammered home with me, was so he had one thing that kind of stuck home with me, was talking about PTSD and the combing of the snakes out of their hair. Really hammered it home to me. Like, that's something I really took away from that episode. To the point, actually, I had someone write to me on Facebook that actually like she watched that episode, and she said that her husband suffers with PTSD, and that was an episode that they found really interesting. Like, kind of, they liked that we were talking about it and putting that out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's something that really kind of took away. And Tim has an awesome speaking voice.
Yeah, he had a cool radio voice, right?
Yeah.
And sounded great on it. Nice low voice, and very clear speaker. Made us want to step our game up a little bit, right?
That was the first time I had ever heard him speak, was on the podcast, and when he first started talking, I thought he was Sir Ian McKellen. To be honest, like he has an incredible voice.
Gandalf.
Yeah. And then speaking of incredible voices, we're going to move right on to our first radio guy. Now we had a few radio guys,
we did, yeah,
but the first one was my girlfriend's dad, Sean Roswell, who had an amazing career in radio.
Yeah, does he ever?
What I liked about this episode, it was super different. I like it whenever we go a little bit left and try something different. This one here was very clip based.
Yeah.
So we got to kind of chronologically follow his career from, I think, the 60s all the way to the 2010s.
Yeah.
And there's clips from when he was on a little tiny radio station all the way to when he, working with New York City, Sirius Satellite Radio. What a fun episode that was, right? Cool journey if you just want to hear what a guy's life in radio could be like if you decide to travel.
Also, what was really cool is actually just this week, we actually had someone who reached out to me and said, hey, I didn't know Sean was back in Nova Scotia or whatever. I was like, yeah. He said, yeah, he goes, I worked with him back in like 1983, 1984 or something
Crazy.
like that. And yeah, they worked together. I don't even think it was here. I think it was in another province. And now that guy is still in radio. The guy who wrote to me, he's in radio and in Halifax. And he just wrote to me and just said, yeah, tell Sean I said hi and everything. So he was obviously listening to our podcast. And just listened to it this week, Sean's episode.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then, so thanks, Sean. And then next we have Laura Warren, our psychic, our medium, our psychic medium.
She already knew that we thanked her.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was such a great episode.
This was a fun episode.
I mean, it caught, like, it was like on wildfire when we launched it out there. I think a lot of people just loved it, just the nature of the content.
Sure.
But I think people really loved her approach and how she, she talked about skeptics, and she had that one foot in that spirit world and one foot in the quote unquote real world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But she was great, good speaker, and answered all the questions we threw at her. We threw a lot of questions.
Oh
at her.
yeah. It was kind of rapid fire, and
was.
she just kind of bapped them all back.
Oh yeah,
which was awesome.
I think she's someone that we're not quite done with yet.
Oh no, I hope we have her back on
we're
season
having part
2
for sure.
Yeah, part 2, and I know she was thinking about putting her own podcast out. I really hope she does.
I hope so too.
So so that'd be cool.
Then we can go on her podcast and do something weird.
Sure,
right? We'll just come up with some talent that we have that we maybe don't have. I don't know.
She can help me talk to my dead hamster, Squeaky.
No, that's her doing something. I'm talking about we have to find a talent that we can do on her podcast.
We have no talent. That's why we're doing this podcast. All right. Moving on. Ronnie Lunn. I learned what mead was from that guy. I really had no idea. I just thought Vikings drank it.
Yeah.
I was very, very simple and primitive on mead. I know what mead is. I saw it on that show. And no idea. Had it once years ago. Never liked it. Tried Ronnie's mead and it was pretty darn good. Very different.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I just had it not that long ago, actually, just recently. Because right now...
As did I. I had it as well.
Yeah. Well, I was down... So
where'd you get it at? At a store? In
downtown, no, downtown Halifax. Eventide is set up at the Evergreen Festival downtown Halifax.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Down there.
Okay, cool.
So, I met with Eric, not Ronnie.
Yeah.
Eric's the other owner. Had a nice little long chat with him. They're following along the podcast as well. They said congrats to us there. And I congratulated them because they went from having just mead, they are now also doing cider. So that's a little update since the last time we've been.
I didn't know that. That's great to hear because I like cider.
Yeah, so they're now doing cider. They have one cider that they're doing. It's a dry cider, and
dry is the way to go for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Saltwater Sean.
Yes.
What a cool guy.
Like, that dude's still diving into the water and this
He's
cold
crazy.
stuff. It's
I
crazy.
mean, crazy in a good way. But like
of course.
adventurous, finding sea. I call it sea garbage, but I know there's a more better name for it. Sea. What do you call it? Sea
I don't know, treasures?
treasures.
Hidden
Yeah,
things? I don't know.
you find stuff from all.
It's interesting what he finds.
Man, such a cool thing.
Yeah.
His Instagram page, I still follow and still liking stuff every week
me
because
too.
he's always finding kind of fascinating stuff in lakes.
I just shared actually something. So I'm from Herring Cove, and it was an older post, but he just reposted it.
Yeah.
Where he found a bunch of stuff in the cove, like
Okay.
right in Herring Cove. And I mean, anyone from Herring Cove would tell you that was called the Cove Baptismal. You get thrown into that cove back in the day.
Okay.
And no one would ever love to go in there. And he voluntarily went in there and pulled out like a whole bike. Fully intact.
I saw that, dude. Yeah.
A bicycle?
A bicycle.
Yeah, I
and
saw
a
the same
gun.
one.
There was a gun, and
Yeah,
then there was a whole
gun.
bunch of other stuff. Like, it was crazy. He filled like. I'd
Did
say
anyone
like
ever
10%
figure out what
of
those
the
little
deck.
plastic rings were? Like there was those little orangish
Yes,
rings.
everyone
What the
was
hell
asking
they?
what they were.
Did they figure out what they were?
I didn't see anything in the comments.
He brought like a
section.
bunch of them out of there.
Yeah, he did.
Oh man, we have to ask him what the heck they were.
So
Yeah.
what kind of a gun did he find in there?
I don't know. It was just a gun. You can
old
see it.
school
It looked
revolver,
like a
right?
revolver of some
Yeah.
sort. So I don't know if it was real or not.
Yeah, something
but
like Dick Tracy would use, right?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it probably was Dick Tracy.
he did tell us that he finds those things often, and he did tell us that he always reports them and all that stuff. So
Right, like he found a hard drive one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That is something you would definitely want to report.
So thanks, Sean, and shows out to Andrea, my partner, for getting Sean because she was a
That's
fan
right,
for a
she's a big
long
fan,
time.
yeah.
So she reached out to him and brought him on the show, right? And then here's one that was kind of a fun one. This guy I emailed, not really expecting a response because I email a lot of people and like I don't hear back from everybody. But this guy wrote us back that day and I was like, holy smokes. And Matt and I were sitting together when he wrote it. He called me actually because we were sitting together when he called me, but it was Ty Ravine.
Yeah.
And Ravine's the son of the Ravine that's been around for ages. And he was coming to do a show in Halifax, and he agreed to meet us outside the airport when he was coming in town. Now, Ravine is a renowned hypnotist. About family illusionist, about family legacy.
Yeah.
Not only his interview was awesome, and like remember all the stuff he was deep
He
diving
went
with
into
us.
a whole bunch of stuff we never thought we'd get into.
Yeah.
We were like, borderline giddy.
Yeah,
Leaving
yeah.
work. In case anybody doesn't know, Mike and I work together outside of the podcast. So we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
But we were left work for the day and we drove out to the airport. And we were just borderline giddy because we're meeting somebody who's, is a bit of a legend. I'd say that he's a legendary name, right?
Yeah,
So this was really our first time, I'd say, meeting a celebrity for our podcast, I guess.
Now, there was an
you'd say.
additional degree of separation there, almost made it kind of
Yeah.
ominous, right? Where
Yeah,
he was meeting
yeah.
this mysterious cool guy that does hypnotisms for crowds.
Because up until that point, everyone was like, for the most part, I guess outside of Saltwater Sean, but
Yeah.
Saltwater Sean was, it was a little bit different. But this guy is, the name Ravine has been around for 40 or 50 years. And then the stories he told were incredible. So, on the drive out, we were giddy. I was sitting there in the episode going in my head going, I can't believe we're hearing stories of ZZ Top from this guy on our podcast.
Man, the ZZ Top story was the wildest about the set design.
Yeah.
Anyways, if you haven't listened to that episode, highly recommend it. Just check it out.
Just want to throw out an interesting little trivia fact. I actually listened to that episode in Ravine Park.
Okay.
And I got a little lost because it was starting to get dark.
What?
Yeah, I got a little lost in the park.
That's great.
But it was cool just having to concentrate in on that and also find my way out. But
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
That's hilarious.
That was a good episode.
I saw a
Lots of
show
good tales.
a couple weeks later. I took Andrea, Gracie, myself. We went. And
Yeah, that's
man,
right,
freaking wicked show.
Yeah, he was also really
Yeah.
nice to give us tickets to give away.
It was darn near sold out.
Yeah.
At Rebecca Cohn. And a lot of the bits, I remembered from seeing his dad years ago. He still honors a lot of the older bits. And they're all fantastic, right? So if you ever get a chance to see a Ravine show, what's cool about it is you can take your whole family. Like you really can take kids and like to a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old, right? It's just pretty perplexing how this guy can just do what he does, right? And the science behind it that he explains in his episode with us was fascinating too.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to Ravine, if you're listening, man. That's awesome. And Mr. Carroll, Dave Carroll, coming up next. So you found this fellow, I think through Tim, right?
It was through Tim, yeah.
So thank you to Tim for bringing Dave Carroll on our show next. And Dave Carroll...
so Dave, obviously, United Breaks Guitars. He broke the internet. That was viral before the word viral.
Before
was
Kardashian.
Viral.
Before Kim.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It was huge, right? So the fact that he would actually take the time to come and talk with us was actually really great.
Yeah.
Did that one at 9 Locks. And yeah, honestly, what was really kind of cool about it, and the thing that like Mike and I talk about often, is we did a whole podcast recording and had a nice little chat with him there. And then he sat with us for like an hour and a half later, like still after done recording. And we were just like, we keep saying, why did we not keep recording? What happened? Right?
Such a smart guy, and lots going on upstairs with that fellow, right?
Yeah.
Well,
A natural storyteller.
Storyteller.
Incredible. He just has that gift of gab that hauls you in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, so Maxwell's and Sons are reuniting, so they're coming back.
They just had one. They had
did that happen, or I thought there's one like scheduled in February next year or something? I thought I saw him selling out shows and stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right, but yeah.
I follow him on Facebook, right?
So do I.
Yeah.
I wasn't keeping track of dates because I saw sold out and I just lost.
Anyways, wicked musician. Listen to the United Breaks Guitars song first, and then check out that episode if you've missed it. Thank you, David. Or Dave, sorry. And next is our buddy Todd, the beer dude.
Yeah. We did that. We recorded that here at Station 6.
Right here at Station 6.
And honestly, what was kind of cool about him is, he was on the radio. I heard him on the radio several times, News 95.7 and all that such and everything. And I was just like, you know what? We sit here and we talk about beer. We try to have at least someone who wants to talk about beer here every once in a while. And that turned into just a casual, great conversation about beer. I can understand that if you're not a beer lover, maybe you would get lost a little bit in that episode.
I appreciated the conversation about beer prices and culture downtown, even like it was like 10, 15 years ago. It was so different than what it is today, right? And but no, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun, super kind guy. And you can just tell he's a big heart, loves beer, loves life. Like, he's just a happy dude.
Honestly, like it's one of those. He was one of those guys that just because I also love beer so much, I could have sat there and talked to him about all the different types of beers that we liked for the entire day.
Thank you.
Yes.
And coming up next, Terry Spurns and Kelly Williston.
So there's my Aunt Terry.
Yeah.
And Kelly. You know what? The crazy thing about this, I didn't know this until like the episode dropped, but Tim's friend and my friend, that's like their cousin or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. So, he wrote to me. He was like, "Oh, you're talking to my cousin." I was like, I had no idea. If I would have known that, I would have said something on the show. But
it's Maria and Jason's cousin.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were awesome. The Nova Scotia International Student Program.
I'm wearing the sweater right now.
You're still wearing the sweater? Yeah.
I haven't taken it off since that episode.
I wear mine all the time.
We're sitting really far away from Matt right now because it stinks.
They actually have a really nice logo.
It's like a cool
their logo looks cool.
But you know what? This sweater is super comfortable.
Yeah. And their episode was about basically the international student program for young folks that get a chance to immigrate here, live here, and what an intelligent path for immigration. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, like these are like, sometimes we hear a lot of negative about immigration, but like if there was a way to do it perfectly. This seems to be just such an intelligent avenue to get to experience, to be integrated with folks, and just really get to learn the community and explore the community and just be a part of it almost immediately. And I love what they do.
I thought it was great, and on top of that too, that was like our most. Obviously, our
shared
most
on Spotify.
Most shared and our most international episode. It was like a dozen countries.
Oh, yeah. It went all over the world.
Yeah.
That episode. That's pretty cool.
Well,
right?
One quick little tidbit there that I like to throw in is it really resonated with me with their slogan about how It says,
Oh yeah.
What's your slogan?
"Bring the world home."
Thank you. Okay, yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah. Because it was really neat to hear them talk about people who don't have the opportunity to travel. Mm-hmm. You know, just due to a plethora of reasons and whatnot. But having somebody stay at their house from all over the world, it was just really cool to see how it's almost like you get to experience the culture.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're traveling when you bring those people into your home, and then like just to hear it from somebody else, and how Kelly's daughter had so many different students stay with her, like through her actual upbringing. It was just amazing, like to hear all that.
Yeah, you got to get to travel the world as they come to you, kind of thing. So I mean, the slogan nailed it.
Oh, I learned a lot just from all the students that Terry had. Like, 'cause, you know, it was just really cool.
So thank you to Terry and Kelly. Whew. We're getting through it, man.
Yeah, we are.
We're getting through it. We're 30 minutes in, so we can. Yeah, we're doing great. Okay. Next guest, friend of mine.
Yeah, this is a great guest.
Terry Coolin. She was awesome. As you know, I mean, this person had impressed me in past lives and present equally. Terry was someone that in their 50s
transition
to
at 53 years old.
Yeah,
Terry went from Terry with a Y to Terry with an I.
Right.
And what a great story. Honestly, I don't know how anybody. I know sometimes these topics can be, contentious and things like that. But I want to say actually two things about it. Is one, this was such a great episode, and she presented herself in such a great way. She needs to be like the face of any type of movement going on, because she was so well spoken. Just I don't know how anyone can take any issue with what she said. Honestly, that's one thing.
No, and I mean everybody has their opinions and their own experiences and stuff, right? And I mean it's always hard to say you can speak on behalf of everybody else.
No.
But I'll just say I love Terry for who she is, and
honestly,
staying and just being proud and finally and getting away from that feeling that they had of just not liking who they were, right, for so long, right?
Exactly.
And that was really what the learning part for me was. Just like I grew up being pretty fortunate to be somewhat comfortable in my own skin. I miss having a beard right now, as we addressed earlier. But like overall, I've been a really comfortable person.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And just to not, it's hard and it's scary sometimes to just say I don't understand this, right? And how you tackle that when you don't really understand what somebody's going through is just,
I can't imagine not like being that uncomfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And then having kind of pile on with, other people who are not being kind to you.
Right.
When you're trying to be comfortable with yourself. But the other thing I wanted to say, the other point I want to make is shout out to everybody who follows along and listens to us, because we had zero negativity on our social media.
Yeah.
And all that. Zero. So shout out to...
That was a fear of ours, because we didn't want to have anyone be negative towards Terry or be negative towards anybody that's transgendered on our show. That's not what we're about, right? We're not about... Exactly. We're not about casting opinions in hard slate stone, right? We're just about hearing people's voices, right?
Exactly.
So, that was a cool episode.
The fact, great episode. Great that there was no negativity. And I think, honestly, Terry had a little bit of a high off of that, and it got shared a lot too. Funny thing is,
hugely shared, yeah.
That episode, on all of the social media platforms that we use, that one blew up on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Blew up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think LinkedIn's a platform that sometimes people, not to discredit LinkedIn, but can be a little boring sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you're using LinkedIn, I mean, a lot of people use LinkedIn to celebrate themselves.
Yep.
And just calling LinkedIn out for a minute, and the people that are on it, sorry. But
it's true. It's like, I did this. Pat me on the back. Can I get a clap?
why don't you use LinkedIn to celebrate other people, right?
Bang
I
on.
mean, it's a crazy thing. And I mean, that's hypocritical. Of course, we have our podcast that we share
course.
what we're doing every single week, right? But, I think the more light you shine on other people on platforms like LinkedIn, the better, we're good. Thank you. The better that social media thing will be, right? And LinkedIn's such a good place to build that, right?
I've been enjoying LinkedIn a lot more
Yeah.
since we started the afternoon pint.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just so many great people on there. People with careers, people that are
Agreed.
working folks of all walks of life, right?
Yep.
So, moving on from Terry, thank you again, Terry. Andrea Menard.
Yeah, so that was cool because you had a solo episode with Sean.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I had a solo episode.
So we both had solo endeavors.
Yes.
I had COVID. That's why I wasn't at this one.
Yeah. So I met with Andrea, and it was again one of probably a little bit one of our longer episodes, maybe. But I thought she was. I mean, she was very busy, and I mean she's an actress. On top of all of the entrepreneurial things that she's doing. And she made time to meet with me and sit down and have a beer. Well, I had a beer. She had a carbonated water. It was just great conversation. She's quite knowledgeable in a lot of things. I mean, she's an actress on Sullivan's Crossing, obviously really big show in Nova Scotia. I mean, big show in North America, but because it's recorded in Nova Scotia, obviously it's a big deal. And then, Feminine Learning Lodge and just the Indigenous talk that we had, very informative.
I remember that episode. What I remembered a lot was it just probably one of the most disconcerting was like the part where she said she felt like as an actor she was like there was times where the Indigenous actors were in and a time where they were out, right? And how disheartening that must feel like to know that you're like a trade that's popular one minute and not the next, right? Because of whatever's going on those social media spectrum, right? And active and stuff. You don't think about that stuff, right? But sometimes when we put people under a spotlight and then we move the spotlight onto the next issue as social issues move on, right? We forget to kind of fully, mend what we started. Right.
So, and you get to actually experience this episode in the same way that I get to experience the Sean episode.
Yeah.
That's just as a listener.
I got to listen as a listener, which was cool. I get to edit all the episodes, so I listen very closely. Yeah. Maybe not closely enough sometimes. I'm a pretty loose editor, right? I mostly cut me and Matt out.
Right. Yeah.
So, but still.
That's fine.
She was really cool. So thank you so much, Andrea. And we're getting there now, man. So on to the next one. Nancy Regan. That was a great episode.
I love this episode. Yeah. She, her personality is just infectious.
She was so fun, right? Yeah. I just laughing almost. Like a smile on my face almost the entire time we were talking, right?
Extremely
amazing
charismatic.
Story. I love how she just, had all the success, young in life in a sense, and she just realized it wasn't for her. Yeah. And she walked away, younger than when we're doing this podcast. She walked away from an amazing career, and she just went into a new direction and started a whole new path. Yeah. And she seems fulfilled. She seems happy. Great for her, right? And her book's good. I listened to her book, or read her book, rather. That one's not an audiobook yet. Hopefully she'll have an audiobook soon.
She did say she was working on it.
She was working on it. Yeah. So when it does, we'll put it up on our socials. And I would love to speak to Nancy again, 110%.
Oh, I would again. That's somebody else who she did hang out a little bit afterwards. For a little while there, and she gave us a book. She signed and gave us a book to give away, which was very nice.
That was cool.
But she also hung out, and I could have hung out all night with her, just chatting away. I mean,
listener input here. That was tied for my favorite episode that you guys did.
Oh, okay, we're not allowed to call favorite episodes. Just joking. You are.
I can do it all I want. Yeah. I have that secret little.
Every episode was my favorite episode.
No, they're all great episodes, but Tim Brody and Nancy Regan episode really struck home with me.
Awesome.
And I think a lot of it was because I didn't know much about them.
Yeah,
and
that's fair. Okay,
and it was just a very interesting story from both of them. So those two were my favorite ones.
Awesome.
Overall.
Awesome.
Just to throw it out there.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. We hope you come back. Oh, and let me say, if we didn't say we hope you come back, we actually hope every single one of our guests come back, right? There wasn't one.
No.
There wasn't one we don't want to come back.
No. Honestly, I learned so much. Yeah, we can talk a little. We can get through it, and I can talk about my reflection afterwards. So.
Sure, your reflection. Looking forward to it. Moving on. RS Smooth. Okay, this is totally a Mike passion project because I listened to this guy since I was in high school.
I didn't know this is a guy. I had no idea.
Well, I knew who he was because he was a DJ, producer, radio personality. Now he's a teacher. But anyways, had a crazy long career here in Halifax, and just was crazy huge to the hip hop genre. If you're a fan of it, you should know who he was or know who he is. Sorry, I shouldn't say was.
That's true.
Still doing it every Sunday. CKDU, right?
Now that I follow him and follow CKDU, I'm seeing his stuff come up on my on his stories and stuff like that.
I might pick up some new music, man.
I knew him a bit through some of the stuff that Luke did.
Classified. He's close friends with Classified. Yeah, like they hang out, play ball or something. He was saying.
Yeah, I didn't know much about him, and I found he was really cool and interesting stories that he told.
So thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the show. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of it. We wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out for what he's done.
Yeah, he's awesome. And moving on, Amanda and Christine. Amanda and Kristen from the Momicide podcast. This was a fun one.
So different from what we normally do because we
at
did
the kitchen table in my house.
Yeah, for breakfast. Tobin baked a bunch of goods.
I did. I spent the whole day making cookies and cakes.
Oh, really?
No. He went to Walmart or Superstore.
Oh, that seems
croissant.
About right.
They were fantastic nonetheless. But.
It's still there. The girls were both pregnant, so they couldn't drink. So you and I were having pints early in the morning, and it was a fun episode, man.
It was a great episode. It was the first one that we did as that was not an afternoon, so that's one thing. Now, I will say one thing. So this is a good one that Tim can actually speak to because Tim and I had a long conversation about the Momicide one, and if Amanda and Kristen are listening, you gained a listener.
Oh,
from
really?
This. Tim has gone through like every episode at this point.
Holy smokes, really?
Yeah, this is one I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit.
And Tim's on the road. So Tim drives a lot for his job.
Right, nice.
So he gets a chance. That's why he always listens to ours, but he's gone through their whole thing now.
So one thing that I've always appreciated about your podcast is I find it's very like mutually supportive. Like you support the guest and the guests support you, and you support the businesses that you come into these breweries and do these recordings. So that's supporting them. They're supporting you, and all the guests. It's just a win-win cycle of support there. But I can't get over it. Like I listen to Momicide all day, every day.
Awesome. Andrea is a huge fan, so she brought me onto it because she's always listening to it, and I'm like, she was like, yeah, I know this person. I said, can we get them on our podcast?
Yeah.
They were like super cool about it. They just jumped right on. Yeah.
No, it's great because like I work in a job where I'm driving all the time. So I put it on the Bluetooth and listen to it all day. And then
Andrea was a wicked host too. She did a better job than me. She can say words clearly into the microphone, which I struggle with.
She has a good speaking voice.
She has a much better speaking voice, a lot less ums and uhs. And actually, I should say this, and I don't know if I share this with Matt or not. She's working on a podcast now with her friend Carrie down the road.
You told me this.
Yeah, so hopefully we hear that next year. I don't know what the title is, but we'll certainly plug it when it comes out. But working title.
It's the adventures of being in a relationship with Tobin.
Yeah. She just cries for 40 minutes nonstop. Yeah. No.
Oh, that's good.
I love you, Andrea.
So thanks to Momicide.
Thank you, Momicide. Yeah.
No, thanks to Momicide. Honestly, I listened to some of their episodes. I thought they were really great, and you actually gained a real fan over here in Tim.
I hope you gained a few. Yeah, and they work really, really hard on their episodes or their podcasts, way harder than we do, and
way harder.
Yeah, and I lost my place here after Momicide, so bear with me as I slowly scroll to the next guest. Man, we're getting near the end. Oh my gosh. Keontae Beals.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Keontae Beals is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
That kid is doing nothing but putting out positive energy everywhere.
in his 20s.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And I mean,
you and I were talking about this. I wish I was that put together.
Me too.
When I was in my 20s, I just wanted to drink more beer than I drink now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and party.
I was like, wow, his energy was amazing. He's like, it's like he already had a career and he's mid-20s and he's now on the next one. Right. And, you know, and I think he says he's going to be putting out another album next year, which I'm really looking forward to.
And another book.
Yeah. Another book.
It's on like third album, third book.
Yeah. Yeah. And his music's great. Like he has a technically sound R&B perfect voice. Like, I mean, if you listen to R&B in the 90s and stuff, this guy is right on point. Right. Yeah. So he knows what the heck he's doing. And huge fan of not only his music, but just everything he's about, right? A lot of positivity and showing love to his community, and good for him, man.
That's what struck a chord with me, was how much his roots carried with him everywhere he's went. Like you could really tell that it was sincere to him.
100%, yeah. And then next guest we had was Jody Morgan, owner of, Jody Morgan, owner of Jody Communications, broadcaster, well-known broadcaster.
Yep.
Jody's story was pretty cool.
Oh, I had and he announced on our show about his new vice president appointment to Restaurants Canada.
That was pretty cool.
So that was kind of cool. We get to kind of break his
ice. Yeah.
But honestly, this was a big one. I wrote to Jordy on LinkedIn, and he got back, and he was game right from the beginning, but just kind of wanted to wait because I think he knew there were some irons in the fire and everything like that. So he wanted to see what direction he was kind of going before he came on, but he was a game right away. He listened to our episodes and stuff like that. So he was listening to the show, and honestly, he was a guy. It was really great to talk to him.
Real fun chat.
We covered so many things.
It's about nothing and everything at the same time, that episode.
Exactly.
And we started in the 80s. We got into the internet. We got into much music in the 80s. I love that bit. And I loved the political bit. What was the name of the party he was with for a minute?
He was, I mean, he worked for the Conservative Party, but he also worked for the Reform Party. The Alliance Party. You know?
Alliance Party, yeah.
He liked the right and all that stuff.
I mean, I know, so I'm not huge into politics, but I can appreciate it, obviously. And I mean, he just seems very level-headed, right? Had a lot of great thoughts, a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially like the Alliance and Reform Party can get a little bit of a bad rep with certain people because they're more on the right side of things. But I kind of felt like just how Jordy was talking, I felt Jordy was quite balanced, and you know, he there was some, you know, he was I thought he had a lot of insight, and I thought that was a great
conversations with folks, Jordy, whoever, right? It just proves that, you know, you can talk to anybody, right? Sometimes we get so, you know, you could see Jordy and maybe assume that, you know, he doesn't have a thing in common with you, but not at all.
Exactly.
Right? Not at all. Sit down and have a conversation with him, right? And see how aligned you actually are, right? So cool conversation. And so thank you, Jordy. And moving on to Clint Sock.
His episode was, that's a very interesting episode. It's something a little different.
It's fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We got him to rap right then and there. We called him like right on the spot.
His Don't Air Love Song.
Don't Air Love Song.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but I mean, obviously on top, that was a fun song.
Yeah.
But then at the end, we played his Every Child Matters song, which is obviously a pretty heavy topic.
Emotional song. It can make you cry. It's a real powerful song.
But I loved it. I loved the song. It was one of those things where sometimes, like, you know, you hear a song and you're not sure, like, especially if it's an unknown song or whatever, and you're not sure how you're going to feel about it or whatever. But I heard that song and instantly I was like, holy crap, this song's good. And I think I said on that episode, I listened to it like 7 times in a row, just repeat. It just hammered it home. I think everyone should listen to that song. But on top of that, on top of the Indigenous matters that we're having that's going on here today, he was, this is a kid who's overcoming his illnesses, and he seems to have several. Yeah. Right? Several health issues, and he's just putting out music and has like such a great
positive vibe, man.
Exactly.
Good guy.
Yeah.
He was a pleasure to meet, and hope we stay friends and stay in touch.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so we will have the swing. So we pre-record episodes. So what happens is we do episodes sometimes like 3, 4.
Yeah.
Some of them are even 6 weeks in advance. And then we kind of edit them after. And so this episode hasn't released yet in real world time when we record this today. But Swing Entertainment episode will be out.
That'll be out. That's already been recorded.
Yeah, it's been recorded.
That's a collaboration episode.
Fun one.
That was a lot of fun. Apologize to anybody because it's, if you think we went out in left field on this one, but it was kind of a joint episode. So it's a little bit of them. It has to be them.
Let's talk about the inception of the episode. We were at Garrison Brewing doing a different podcast with a different guest.
That was the
AJ. It was with AJ. And then we met these guys, or met the guy. He was getting our beer.
He was our surfer.
And he was just like, I do a podcast too. And I was warned of this when you get into podcasts. You just run into people everywhere you go that also do podcasts, right? Yes. And but he was really the first for us. Yeah. And so we talked about him. Well, what's your podcast called? And he said, High Before Breakfast. Yeah. And it was about where they got high and they ate cereal.
That's right.
And I thought that was hilarious. And I said, we do Afternoon Pint. We should definitely do a collaboration episode. Course, so we joked about it. But these guys had a lot more going on.
Way more.
Yeah. So they had this thing called like Swing Entertainment that the three of them founded, where they were making creative content, YouTube videos, and all this stuff.
They've won awards. They've gone to like film festivals in California and Hollywood.
These guys are great, and they work so hard at it. It's really funny stuff, right? Yep. Really cool. And hey, man, it's a good way to live your life. Eh?
But we opened the episode with having Snoop cereal.
Yes.
And we crack a beer. We do the cheers just like we do.
Matt was going to the States. Yeah. So I'm like, when you go to the States, man, you got to get Snoop Dogg cereal. Yeah. And, so he went and he picked up a couple boxes, smuggled it through the border. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And so we had beer and cereal. Not a great mix.
No, disgusting.
Just going to throw that out there. But I do believe the episode together was a great mix, and I think it was fun.
Yeah, and it's on video.
And they have their video. They do a video podcast.
At least I had a beard in that video.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one anyway. So.
Oh yeah, we go from everything. That comes up. We rate the cereal. We talk about movies. Tobin gets mad at me because I talk too much about horror.
He goes way too deep in horror. I got mad.
They did it though.
All right.
You got to go back and listen to it again.
I edited it. Of course, I listened to it.
But they're the ones who were like, they flipped the script.
He told you that he loved a horror movie, and he's like, "What movie do you like?" And you're like, "Let me take this over."
That's not how it went.
And then 42 minutes later, you're done talking about The Exorcist. And they're like, and you're like, what horror movies do you like? And I'm like, what the fuck?
I haven't heard this episode, but that seems about right.
I barely got like 1 or 2 movies out of these dudes for the best movie of 2023. That's all I wanted to hear. And the conversation went so left. Yeah, it'll be the first time you hear me get angry on the show. Definitely not the last. Wasn't that angry.
No, you just told me to shut up and move on.
I didn't say shut up, did I? I never say that.
I don't think you did.
I would never.
You were just like, do you let them answer the movie question?
It was a fun moment. I was like thinking of editing it out. I'm like, no, I should leave that in there. I have to leave my frustration in this episode.
It was a fun episode. It was different than what we normally do, but whatever. That's
we rated Snoop Dogg cereal at the end.
That's right. Not at the end, the beginning.
No, we rated it at the end.
Oh, at the end. Sorry,
because we ate it and we forgot to rate it because
you are correct.
All the talk about movies from 1970.
Yeah. So anywho, but yeah. So I mean, and then we have this episode here, and
that's it. Eh?
Well, I mean, we obviously have some recorded.
Oh, sorry, Santa Claus, dude. We would have had Santa Claus on.
Oh,
which you really haven't heard yet because it hasn't been fully polished yet.
No one's really heard it. But Santa Claus, Woody, and obviously Lee, the manager. Of that quote unquote manager.
Yeah. Talking to Santa Claus and Woody the Christmas tree was pretty fun.
You talked to Woody the Christmas tree?
Oh yeah, we got her on got him on FaceTime.
Yeah. Oh wow.
It happened.
So that was cool. So that's an episode that your kids can listen to.
Yeah.
Because it was.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's pretty friendly and everything's kosher there. So
yeah, as long as your kids are okay with alcohol.
It was a milk stout.
Oh, it was a milk stout. Right. Okay.
Santa Claus?
Yeah.
That seems right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a fun
episode. Was it the Breton Brewing makes the milk and cookies?
They do make a milk and
cookies. And they great manager too.
Yeah, honestly,
Nice fellow.
Another guy in radio.
Yes.
So we did have a lot of radio guys.
Yeah, we did.
But this is kind of radio.
Well, we're learning.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we never
is the
done
thing,
this
yeah.
before, man.
No,
so
exactly.
we don't have any formal education. So getting all these radio guys on the show, this is just for us, right? Learning how to talk into the microphones.
And you know what? That kind of speaks to a little bit of like the reflection that I was going to speak about.
Oh, okay.
Is it's been we've been doing even though we launched the episode in August, like the first week of August, whatever. We've been recording for before that. Obviously, we needed a bank before that.
Yeah,
so we've really been recording and talking to people for half a year now.
Sure.
Of every week.
Yep.
More than once a week because we have more. You know, we're going to finish off this year with 28 episodes or something like that. So it's a lot, right? That's over half a year of episodes. Anyway, it's been an interesting year of listening. It's even though I may have talked way too much about The Exorcist, we're talking to people, we're hearing their perspectives, we're talking to people from all different walks of life. What motivated them? What motivates them still? Their stories of where they came from and what molded them. And then on top of all that, not just the content of listening to people and their stories, but you and I have been constantly asking people about feedback. What do you think of the episode? Tell us what we're doing right and tell us what we're doing wrong. And really honestly opening that. We want that criticism. And one thing I've learned this year is listening to people, whether it be just telling their stories or listening to them tell you, because sometimes it can be hard to hear someone say like, that kind of sucked. You messed up on this thing, right? So that can be kind of cruddy when you're trying to start something. But, I think we embraced it. We wanted it because we want to do right by this.
Yeah, and people won't always just be all friendly with us. We're going to fuck up.
Of course,
right?
But you know what? Honestly, it's changed. It's changed me a lot. Like there's a lot. I think there's every once in a while you go through moments. Like I talked about this in the podcast before. Where running in the election changed me again, and it goes back to like I was listening to people. I was talking to a lot of people and listening to what they had to say, and running in the election changed who I was as a person. This has done that as well. Again, kind of like moved that needle a little bit more of like listening to people and hearing, just hearing them and being open to feedback more and trying to just be better, right?
Right.
I hate that. I hate that expression. I hate that I even just said that. Like the fact that it's like, do better, be better, whatever. But honestly, just internally, to try to be better, right? To perfect this thing. We're still learning about this thing. We're not pros. We're extremely grateful that people listen to us.
So grateful.
And also extremely grateful that people even take their time. Like we don't pay people to come onto this and talk to us. And yet some people choose to hang out with us for a little while afterwards. So honestly, nothing but gratitude. And when 100%. I say, like, when it's hashtag beer and love, that's honestly what half of this year has been about. And I think there's been more positivity injected in both of our lives in this last 6 months than for a long time, especially coming out of COVID. And I'll say COVID because it was a theme through this
It was
season.
definitely a theme through this season. No, I agree with that. And I agree with the whole sentiment you just said. So I don't think it even bears repeating. Like, everything you just said, I feel the exact same way. It changes you when you get to talk and listen to people. So hopefully people listen to the show and maybe at least somebody spoke to them and they resonated with someone. If they do, they should reach out to that person, man, and say thank you.
Seriously, yeah.
Right, whatever. Right.
And moving forward, we are going to have a season 2. 2024 is going to start off with a bang.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to talk to people that, you may not be interested in hearing from. You may not necessarily agree with what they agree with saying.
Right.
But this show is going to always be about talking to people and listening to people. And it's going to be about humanity. And it's going to be about beer and love.
And giving them the flowers while they're still here on this earth with us.
Exactly.
And not looking at the things that divide us, but the things that bring us together, right? Agreed. I mean, it's so easy for us. We could have siloed and had this show about our opinions and our opinions only,
right,
where we would have found an audience, guaranteed. Of course we would have, yeah. Right? But hey, no, that's not the way to do it.
No, exactly.
And that's not the way we're doing to do it. So I love that. So thanks, Matt. You've been an awesome guy to do a show with. So I got to give you a cheers on that.
Yeah, cheers
so
to that, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Honestly, yeah.
And cheers to you, Tim.
Yeah,
You know, listener and a
I
friend,
do think that.
My gosh.
Yeah, I do think Tim. We should give him a moment to say anything if there's anything.
I have an honorary pint glass for you, an AP pint glass as a friend and listener. Every guest that comes on the show gets an AP pint glass.
They were already sold out when I reached out to Matt to try to get one. So
Yeah, they're already sold
I had
out.
none, but
wink,
he has
wink. Might have one for you.
Yeah.
One left.
But but realistically, Tim, if there's anything you have to add or anything like that, like we fire away. And if there's anything you want to kind of add to the reflection of it all as a listener.
No, it's just I don't have much to add to what you guys said, but it's made my days brighter on a personal level. Everybody has their own stuff that they're going through, and to be able to kind of just sit back and listen to everybody else's stories, and where this podcast is very it's positive, and it's focused on bringing out the best in people, as opposed to just there's a lot of podcasts out there that are just strictly debatable kind of topics and controversial topics, but this has a focus on a lot of positivity and love, and it's great to listen to, and to be able to learn a lot about people that I didn't really know that well. So it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll just end with thank yous, and that's it, and we'll be done. So thank you to breweries, and we'll try not to miss one. Okay, so let's start with
Serpent.
Big Spruce.
Well, we should start with Serpent.
Serpent
was our first home, so thank you very much for giving us a platform and a spot.
Big Spruce let me run around in there with a camera like a fool for social media one day.
That was fantastic. And they gave you a hat?
They gave me a hat, and fantastic. I still wear that hat. So thank you, Big Spruce. Thank you to Nine Locks Brewing in Dartmouth.
Yep.
We did a couple episodes there. Hope to go back. Our premiere episode for season 1's already been recorded from there. We have a great guest coming up.
Fantastic.
And
Good Robot.
Good Robot. Yeah, we did a few episodes there. Super gracious, hospitable staff. Awesome beer. All these places have awesome beer.
Lindsay, if you're listening, Lindsay McPhee.
Oh, there you go.
Hi.
Very good. Hi from Tim.
Hi from Tim.
To Lindsay.
We have. We also did one episode. Andrea's episode was at the Brown Hound.
Brown Hound, yes. Yeah.
Great little spot.
I'd like
so
to go
cozy.
there. I'd like to do an episode
cozy.
there. Yeah.
We got to do that. So we have that.
Obviously, we are today, Station 6.
We're at Station 6.
So Station 6, we've done multiple episodes here.
Yeah.
Probably one of the top 3 places we've been.
And you know what?
Our top 3 times we've been in places.
Treating us so well. And the reason how we ended up here was really by mistake. Serpent ended up closing down very suddenly. We had a guest who was like in Spryfield, and we had to find a place quick.
Figured it out in 15 minutes.
I just wrote to the owner of Station 6, so Andy, thank you very much for letting us use here. He's been so great.
The food here is awesome. He's a chef. He has lots of crazy dishes going on here. And they're pretty much all good.
Yeah, and this back room's awesome. So
backroom's awesome.
And they welcome us every week, so that's great.
Yeah.
And our kind of our now home brewery, I guess, in a way, is Old Biddy's.
Old Biddy's,
soon to be Great Roads Brewery.
Great Roads Brewing.
They're doing rebranding.
Yeah.
But they've also rolled out the red carpet. They thoroughly enjoy us being there.
Incredible guys, and great beer.
So many
American
beers.
Red IPA.
Oh yeah,
they're making a lot of good beers. Kind of, I want to say experimental. You got to name a beer there. That's
I get to name
cool,
a beer,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're talking about letting us make a beer.
I hope this happens.
I
so
hope that
2024 goals. Now we're going to try to make our first beer, AP beer, which would be awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, and so they've welcomed. In fact, actually, they even gave us we get a staff discount there now.
There you go. Don't tell anybody that. Everybody be out there doing a podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Never mind. No, we don't do that.
But thank you so much.
They have a food menu now too. We should throw that out there.
That's right. They got the food menu. So thank you so much, the folks at oh my gosh, Great Roads Brewing.
Yeah, because I think that's everybody.
Is it really everybody?
Well, I mean, there's your house.
Garrison. We did Garrison Brewing.
We did do Garrison,
and Garrison was awesome.
Garrison.
That's where we met one of our future guests.
That's right. That's true.
At the tap room.
That's right. We're at the Garrison tap room.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome.
So
place.
So thanks to there. Honestly, I mean, we hope to hit up many more breweries. Obviously, it makes it easier to have certain places as like our home, but we want to spread the love quite a bit. But
We're
thank
going
you
to try to hit
anyone.
more places next year, 100%.
We will, 100%. But thank you to everybody, because we could not do this concept if they didn't let us record in their place.
Right.
So thank you very much for that.
Right. And I don't think anyone's actually closed the doors to us, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So thank you so much, guys. And with that, have a happy 2023 Eve.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Sure, we'll say
How
that.
do you say Happy New Year, Tim?
What do you want to say? Like in French? Like bonne année? Like
I don't know. I thought Tim Antonowicz was going to help me out with the closing.
Well, let's you know what? Let's cheers
One
to
more
a new
cheers
year.
to 2023,
Cheers
guys,
yeah,
and
there
on
we
to
go.
2024.
There you go.
Cheers, guys.